Hey guys, Corey Ogilvy here. In this video, we're going to talk about something that revolutionized my video editing, and that is keyboard macros. What is a macro? Well, the Wikipedia definition is, a macro in computer science is a rule or pattern that specifies how a certain input sequence should be mapped to a replacement output sequence according to a defined procedure. What? I don't know what that means. Basically what it means is you can map multiple keystrokes to just one. So I can tell Keyboard Maestro, if I press the K key, what I actually want it to press is K-A-S. I don't know why I picked those letters, and so in the future when I press K, what will be input is K-A-S instead. Now you might be wondering, what does that have to do with video editing? Well, I can tell you honestly, I will never edit without macros again, and every editor who has worked for me or works for me right now has told me the same. Corey, I will never, ever edit anything without using macros again. So just take my word for it, at least watch this video and you'll see that these are really, really powerful and can change how you edit forever. So in order to teach you about macros in video editing, we're gonna teach you two things. First, we're gonna teach you the theory, and then we'll teach you the practice. It's really important that you understand the theory. The reason is because if you get it, then you'll generate new macros, right? You're gonna create new macros on your own that you can then share with us and improve us with video editing. Then we'll do practice where I'll show you one concrete example. Okay, so the theory behind keyboard macros and why I found them and use them for video editing, it's something I made up to help coach people at my business. And I call it step theory. So step theory was born from the idea of step counting, right? That our lives, on one level, our lives are just a series of steps, right? You get out of bed, you brush your teeth, you make breakfast, you get on the bus, you turn on the computer at work, etc., etc., etc. I can predict with 100% certainty that you, me, every human who has lived and will live, on one level, their life is just a series of steps. And once we embrace that, and once we look at ourselves as just a series of steps, we then can count them. And if we count them, then we can understand them and modify them. And hopefully, which is the ultimate goal of step theory, is remove the step and not remove value. That's the key, right? Is that you remove a keystroke from your editing technique, but your edits are still just as good. That's the simple idea with it. And so it really leads to one fundamental question that you should always be asking yourself. Can't this be done in less steps? If you ask yourself that question theoretically with everything, not just video editing, you'll start finding these little step savings, right? These little areas where you go, hey, you know what? I can get rid of that, or I can combine that with that. And your life now has less steps, right? You have less step inventory. If you give me two humans, one has a ton of step inventory and one doesn't, which one do you think is going to be happier and more flowing, right? So that's the theory. If you can think like that and ask that question, then you're going to generate new tricks on your own. And that is so much more important than what I'm about to teach you, which is just one of the many macros that I've discovered. So now let's go into practice. And I'm going to show you a concrete example of one macro that I use that really helped me enormously. I used to edit a lot of next day edits for my wedding company, Glimmer Films. And the next day edits are rush edits, right? They're inherently on a time limit. And as per usual with wedding videos, we use slow-mo a lot. And slow-mo, as you probably know as a video editor, I think it takes 5 or 6 keystrokes. We'll count it out in a second, and just to make it happen. And I asked myself, from step theory, right? I said, can't this be done in less steps? Can't I make a clip slow-mo with just 1 key instead of 5? And so now I'll show you what resulted from me asking that question. So first I'll show you my hotkey for speed in Premiere, which is, if you go to the hotkey settings, I have it set to P. You just keep that in mind as we move forward here. Now let's show you the old method of slow-mo, or the usual one. This shot I know has a very good sort of lens flare-y kind of shot right here. And I'm gonna try to salvage a good shot out of it. Now here's the usual method. You select the clip, and now I'll do the steps now. Okay, now first I'll demonstrate the macro method, and then what I'll do is I'll show you how I made it. So I'm here and let's say, oh, I want to make this slow-mo. I just select it. Now all I do is I press this. And all of those keystrokes, all of those actions were combined into one. So how did I do that? If we go to Keyboard Maestro, that's what I use, but you might use a different keyboard application. If you just look here at what's going on, basically what I've done is I've mapped this key right here, which is right next to the P key. I don't know what it's called. I've mapped it to execute all of these keystrokes down here. So when I press this key, what happens is Keyboard Maestro presses P, that opens the speed window. Then it types 40, that's the speed that I want. Then it presses Enter, which enters the speed. Then it pauses for 0.10 seconds just in case Premiere is lagging a bit. Then it presses D, which for me is deselect. I have that set to deselect on Premiere. And what that does is it deselects the clip, because it's really annoying when the clip is still selected, because then if you press a button, you might actually apply something to that clip. So it deselects the clip. Then it types the right arrow once, because that just ensures that the playhead is going to be over the clip. And then it presses the semicolon, which brings the playhead to the beginning of the clip. And then it presses the space bar, which plays the playhead. So those are all things you have to do manually usually. So again, I'll demonstrate here. Okay, and that's how you do the slow-mo macro. So there you go. That's a concrete example how thinking step theory can turn into real improvements in your life. It can increase your flow, it can increase your profitability, and most importantly, it can make you a better artist. Now, another way to increase your speed editing is to use our AI plugin called Shakefree. It's a plugin that we made that basically just removes the shake so that when you're editing creative edits, you can get into the flow a lot quicker. It's AI powered, it uses machine vision, so check it out if you have a spare second. Thanks so much for watching. We really hope that this tutorial will save you a little bit of time and make you a better artist. Thank you.